Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Hope you witnessed the inaugural program of FARM. Now we are here for the second session. Once again, I welcome you all. Without any further ado, we will turn the time over to our resource person, Ms. Shikha Tyagi, currently working as faculty in Asian Bureau of Research and Investigation. She has completed her 8th induction course in forensic science, LNJ NICFS, Delhi, and has been trained in DNA technology at Life's Forensic Laboratory, Thermo Fisher Scientific, FSL, Delhi. Earlier, she worked as scientific officer in Truth Lab, Delhi, also as forensic professional in Central Forensic Science Laboratory, Chandigarh. We are glad to have you amongst us and eagerly looking forward to your session. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Meghna, for this wonderful introduction. So, am I audible to all, first of all?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, good morning, everyone, and thank you for being here. Without wasting much time, I think I should begin with my session. So, shall I share my screen? Just 1 second. Is it visible to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So we are here with the topic future forensics opportunities and challenges today. So obviously, like most of you belong to the forensic fields themselves, so you might be recognizing some of them yourself. So I would like to begin first of all with the definition of forensic science itself. So most of you must be knowing it is the application of scientific methods and techniques for the purposes of justice. So basically what we are doing as a forensic scientist, we are helping the law enforcement agencies like police, NIA or CBI. We are helping them in the collection and preservation of the evidence material. Basically the purpose is that till the time it reaches the laboratory for analysis, it is intact enough to get analyzed properly, or we can have the desired results out of it. So first thing is from there, then later, in later stages, we are helping the judicial officers to analyze the worth of that evidence, how relevant or irrelevant that evidence material is for that particular case. So when we talk about the role of forensic scientist, the main role of a forensic scientist basically comes into the collection, preservation, and analysis of the evidence material. These are actually the very three words used for the purpose of defining the role of forensic scientist. Basically, when a forensic scientist visits a crime scene, they are in position to help or assist the investigating officer or the team investigating there in the proper collection, packaging, and preservation of the evidence material. Like if a blood sample is collected from the spot, a blood-stained cloth is collected, obviously you will have to shade dry it. Shade dry it because obviously you have to keep its chemical identity intact, and also you don't want to ruin the evidence. So there's a proper procedure for packaging every kind of material, which is known to every forensic expert. So they help the investigating agencies in that. Then when that particular evidence reaches the laboratory, it is the role of the forensic scientist to analyze the evidence for the proper results for the identification purpose, maybe, or for any other purpose which the police or the investigating agency might be seeking. And then later they have to prepare the report, which is admissible in the court under section, which is actually dealt as an expert opinion under section 45 of the Indian Evidence Act. And the report is admissible in the court under section 293 CRPC. So At that point, you are basically telling the judicial officer that this was the evidence received, and I have evaluated that this is an authentic or genuine evidence, and it serves this value to this particular case, and help them evaluate the case with a different perspective. So that is a very crucial role. Sometimes the forensic experts are also required by the legislature while framing a particular law, because they sometimes help in understanding the gravity of the crime, or sometimes the other aspects related to while framing a law. So they play a very crucial role there also. These are some of the forensic science types of, or the divisions of forensic sciences. We will not be including most of them here because it will be very time consuming, but these are all part of the forensic science, the firearms, the physical sciences, biology, documents, polygraph, they all form the wide variety included in the forensic science. So as our topic here is future opportunities and challenges, I would like to differentiate it within the divisions and then try explaining the challenges and the opportunities related to every field, because in every field I think the opportunities and challenges are different. So we'll see. Coming to cyber forensics, I would like to start with cyber forensics, because as we are talking about future, this is the most upcoming and trending field of forensic science. I think most of us would agree. Then this is the most upcoming and trending field because most of the world is actually shifting online, especially due to this COVID situation. We have a lot of things which were not even online earlier. They have now shifted. Even the classes, schools, many organizations, they have all shifted to the online mode. So this is also known as the digital forensics, and basically by definition, if we see, it involves the preservation, identification, extraction, documentation, and interpretation of computer media for evidentiary or root cause analysis. Root cause is like tracing the root cause. We'll come to it. There are multiple methods of discovering the evidence in this field. Basically, because it is related to computers, it is also known as computer forensics. So discovering the data on the computer systems, because obviously the culprit who's committing some crime would not have kept it on the desktop for the police to recover it. So discovering the data on the computer is one important aspect of cyber forensics. And then there is recovering deleted, encrypted, or damaged file information, because many a times, or actually most of the time, if a culprit comes to know that the police or other law enforcement agency is chasing him or may raid him, so at that point they usually delete the file, or even when they're transferring a file from one system to another, maybe through mail or any other mode, but they encrypt it in a certain format so that other people are unable to decipher that. Also, sometimes the files recovered are damaged, so to retrieve all of them, to recover all of them, that is the role of a cyber forensic expert. Then another role they play is monitoring the live activity. You would have heard in the movies like tapping the phone, and also it's not just only confined to tapping the phone. They also monitor the live activities, like the internet activity of somebody, which sites a particular person is visiting, which people is he or she communicating with. So this is the monitoring live activity. And then there is detecting violation of corporate policy. Like every corporate house have certain policies, so they have to abide by it. And in the offline world, it is rather easy because most of the things come into picture, they surface easily. But when it comes to online, there is so much data available at this point of time that it is very, very difficult to decipher where a particular law is being breached or where a particular policy is being violated. So it becomes a very tough job for a cyber forensic expert to deal with such things. These are basically all the types of computer forensics, as I said: the network forensics, web forensics, data forensics, proactive forensic, like it would include the things like preventive measures. Basically, it is like before a crime has been committed, before a particular thing has been done, they are helping various agencies in the prevention of crime. Basically, obviously, all of us are using the emails, so email forensics is also there. Enterprises, as I said, the corporate policies and all. So these are all part of the cyber forensics. Now, coming to the opportunities and challenges in cyber forensics. So, as I said, the technology is changing and growing every single day. Every single day, like literally, it is every single day. We hear of a new app or a new website. People are getting more and more into this online field. I think hundreds of people and thousands of people have their own YouTube channel. So, this platform is really wide, very wide it is. So the technology is changing and growing, and this platform, online platform, the internet is growing every day. World is actually shifting to online. So as the technology is advancing, the challenges are also advancing and growing along with it. So the cyber forensic experts today have to face really the major issues more than ever before, more than ever, any time ever, that they have to come across so many issues. Then the risks are really high, obviously, and there is need for both prevention and cure to keep things safe. So, with the growing challenges, but the opportunities are also increasing. So, we obviously have the cyber experts in the government forensic labs. So, the government forensic labs are there, and then there are private forensic labs who actually cyber cases, mostly the cases which are registered with the government agencies, go to the government forensic labs themselves. But many a times, the people do not want to involve police or any other investigating agency in a particular case. Especially it comes like in the, I have seen it in the many of the infidelity cases or many of the private cases where people are not comfortable going to the police, and they just want that something should be authenticated. The video might be authenticated, an audio might be authenticated. So at that point, they visit the cyber forensic experts. So they actually seek the help of these private organizations to get their cases solved. And then there are private organizations, as I said, the corporate houses, many of the companies they are hiring to keep their data safe, to keep their domain safe. Like most of the companies, they give their own emails and all to email IDs to every of their employees. So there is a lot of data online. Basically, they are sharing data every day, and that data might be really confidential to that particular organization. So that is very, very crucial. The cyber forensic experts helps in protection of that data from the hackers and all. Because you would have also heard maybe of ransom hacking these days. It is quite common. So what the hackers are doing, a particular group of hacker might hack a website, and then they would ask for ransom in return to release the data back to the organization. Mostly they destroy the server, and usually the people don't even get their data back. So it is very growing kind of crime. So the cyber experts are also helping in that. And then there is ethical hacking. Many of the cyber experts are also employed by the government agencies for the purpose of this ethical hacking, sometimes off the record as well. Then coming to our next topic, it is forensic document analysis. Basically, document in forensic does not necessarily mean a piece of paper with something written on it. A document is any material, like broadly it can be writing surface, which contains mark, symbols or signs that convey a meaning or a message. This also includes e-documents. This is the particular definition for forensic documents. But when it comes to like defining, the examples will be like a piece of paper, you have handwritten paper, that is a document in terms of forensics. If you have something scribbled on a table, that also becomes a document for forensic scientists. If something is written on the wall, and even if you go about the ancient paintings on the walls or ancient scriptures, like they also become a piece of document when it comes to forensic perspective. So everything which has some marks or symbols and which actually conveys a meaning is a forensic document. Forensic document examination is especially required in the investigation of white collar crimes or financial crimes. White collar crimes because majorly the cases dealt under this division are the civil cases. There are criminal cases also there, but mostly the cases dealt are civil cases. And especially with the advancement of sophisticated instruments and the change in crime trends, this field in itself has undergone deep sea change with the obviously as the technology is advancing. These are all the types of forensic documents. A blackboard, maybe something scribbled on the table, a typewritten document, a handwritten document. This is something written on the wall. So they all make up the forensic document. Then coming to what problems can be solved using forensic document analysis. Identification of writing and signatures, obviously, that comes to your mind. That's the first thing that comes to your mind. Because whenever we think of documents, it's like written and signatures, someone forged the signatures, that is we have in mind. So that is one important aspect of forensic document analysis. Then the second one is fixing the authorship of forged writings, because sometimes like I wrote something with other person's name, so obviously the other person can deny I did not write it, and you can say that, okay, you can compare the handwritings, okay, this was not written by this person, but who wrote it? So fixing the authorship is also a challenge. Then identification of typescript. It is actually, for now we can say that it has now gone outdated because most people are not using typewriters these days. But typewriters had a specific pin through which it used to type the documents. So every typewriter had a different kind of pin, not actually the different kind of pin basically, but the, hello?
Sorry to interrupt you, ma'am, but your slides are not changing. Can you please change the slides?
Okay, just a second.
Okay.
Is it visible now?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. The slides are not changing.
Okay. Did you miss all the slides from in between? Hello?
Yeah, ma'am. Yeah, ma'am.
So shall I go through it again, or is it okay if I continue from here?
Continue. Which slide you are in? Just present it and continue the topic, ma'am.
Okay. Was I audible throughout the time?
Yes, ma'am. You were audible, but your slides weren't changing. That's it, ma'am.
Oh, okay. Okay. No issues.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Sorry for the inconvenience.
No issues. Rather, please let me know again if there is any issue. Please let me know earlier. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, so is it look fine now? Is it visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we were talking about the problems that are solved using forensic document analysis. So that okay, we have covered 3 points here. If it is okay, or shall I begin from this slide at least? Is it okay if I continue from where I stopped, or is it like I should start from here? Meghna, can you hear me? If I think okay, let's begin from where we stopped. Okay, so the next point is detection and decipherment of alterations. Many times a particular document was written at one point. When the document was written, the content said something else, and at later stages, the alterations were made, and the document does not convey the same meaning as it did before, because the alterations, maybe additions or deletions or erasures, were done on the document just to convey the meaning the criminal wanted to convey. So at that point, also forensic document analysis comes into picture. So this is also a role of forensic document analyst. Then personal identification using forensic stylistics is also possible. And then there is obviously detection of counterfeit currency notes and travel documents, passport security documents. These are all, there are actually the opportunities available for these documents. We'll come to them soon. We're talking about the challenges in this field. So that even when, hello? Have the slide changed now, Meghna? Meghna, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are.
So is the slide changing now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So determining the absolute age of the document is an issue because even till date, even we have so many sophisticated and advanced technologies with us, but still it is not actually possible to determine the absolute age of a document. They might estimate it in the length of a decade, but that becomes absolutely futile when talking about the things which are of contemporary time period. So it is a big challenge. We are thinking out of the box here. So we have to discuss about the problems which might help us in the future developments. And then fixing the authorship of the trace writing or signature. Many a times the culprit, instead of faking the signatures or trying to just copy the signatures, they trace it directly from some document which was written by the original genuine person. So that is also a challenge. And then determining the writing instrument use. This is a basically coming up challenge because earlier even the written documents were obviously they could be deciphered from one person to another. And then there come the typescript documents. Typed documents were also somewhere, at least you could relate it to one particular type of typewriter. Even with the inkjet printers, it was possible to relate it to one type of printer. But now with the advancement of instruments like laser printers and all, it is becoming more and more difficult to determine the writing instrument. Like you cannot relate it to one particular printer. Or thousands of printers will be printing the same paper. So it is quite a challenge in this field. Talking about the opportunities, obviously there are government forensic science laboratories, GEQDs we have all heard of. Private forensic labs are especially important in this field because even while I was working at Truth Labs, they had an MOU with Delhi FSLs to cover the backlog along with the government agencies. So the document or the files or cases registered there, they were coming here for further analysis, and the analysis was actually being done there, and then they were sent back to the laboratory for further processing. So private forensic labs are also a good option in this. And then coming to the banks and financial institutions, obviously we were talking about the counterfeit currency notes. So banks are obviously involved wherever the currency is involved, and financial institutions are obviously will be there. Also, there will be other options like especially concerning the security documents and all, because while giving the loans, banks also get these certain documents. They also see certain documents with them. If the documents are forged later, it might be the bank might land into trouble. So the scrutiny of the documents which are submitted to the bank is also important. It is also important in the terms of insurance companies because they are also giving the claims to many people. So the document analysis becomes a very important field. And then coming to the law firms, many of the lawyers, not just the law firms, but many of the lawyers are also hiring the forensic document experts because they have more cases means more number of documents, and more number of documents mean more chances of forgery. So the lawyers, the law firms, they do require that they only have the authentic document as a piece of evidence with them. So they hire these forensic experts. Sometimes they also outsource these forensic experts so that they can actually get to know whether or not the document submitted with them is a genuine one. Now coming to the next division, physical sciences. It is, as the definition says, the application of physical laws for the purpose of justice. It involves the basic concepts of physics like density, refractive index, birefringence. These are all the concepts of physics. So the cases dealt under this category would be like fingerprints or tire or tread marks or tool marks, soil analysis, paint and glass analysis. Sometimes even a person who has a vehicle was stolen and they erase the number plates. So those numbers can also be restored. And then there is one particular category, vehicular accident, which is very important in this case. I'll be coming to it soon. So the fingerprints, obviously we are all aware what fingerprints are. Tire and tread marks would include, especially in the vehicular accident case or sometimes in other cases as well. The tread marks are observed on the road or somewhere and they are analyzed by the forensic physicist to relate it to a particular vehicle. And there are tool marks in cases of burglary or theft, maybe they are of very much use. Soil analysis, we all know, I think most of us belong to the forensic field here, so you might all be knowing about these things. So let's come to, these are the examples of tool marks and impressions, like these are the various tools. And then here are the impressions. The foot impression is there for the analysis, and then there is footprint on the soil, and there is this tire mark. So all these things, they are important from a forensic physicist point of view. Coming to the major challenges in this field, major challenge is in this field is majorly unavailability of records and reference material, especially when it comes to like fingerprints. If you get a fingerprint from a crime scene, it doesn't make any sense unless you can relate it to some person actually. You can identify a person based on that. Even when we have a lot of criminal fingerprint data with us, unless we can actually identify or relate the culprit, it is of no use. So the records are still not there. Even till date, we are relying on some outdated techniques or some. Although the records are now getting collected based on these Aadhaar and all these things, there is a government record being created now. But even till date, there is no dedicated software for this, especially in India. There is this, we are lagging here. And also, there is lack of technological advancement in this field. As in, most of the things here are being done manually. Like if there are analysis being done in, there is lack of equipment and technological advances in this field. Then talking about the opportunities of forensic physicists, obviously again we have government and private forensic laboratories to take care of. But the main thing which I was talking about, the vehicular accident cases I was talking about, the insurance sector is a great career option here because majorly there are almost hundreds of vehicular accident cases which are registered every year where the skills of a forensic physicist will be required because vehicular accident, and if you trust me on this when I say this, because I have handled myself almost 200 cases around there. So vehicular accident cases, if you say that 100 cases were registered in a year, almost 60-70 cases are fake. People would just go out and just make a little scratch or just bump their vehicle into a tree or some stone or something and then say they met with an accident. So here it becomes very crucial to identify the right from wrong, because otherwise the insurance companies may also land into trouble at later stages, which is even happening. That is why they're now focusing on hiring more and more forensic experts these days. And also they're outsourcing the private forensic laboratories for this purpose so that they have the right direction with them. Now coming to the next topic, which is chemical sciences or forensic chemistry. Forensic chemistry, as well as its subfield, the forensic toxicology, it majorly involves the identification of various unknown material recovered from the crime scene, body of a victim, or even the material suspected of containing illicit substances like drugs, alcohol. This is the definition written here. But when it comes to forensic chemistry, any substance which is discovered from the crime scene, you saw if you see something. Yes.
Ma'am, your slide is not visible. The topic which you are discussing now.
Okay. Wait. Is it visible now?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. So let's start over from chemical sciences. Obviously, the forensic chemistry, it has its subfield forensic toxicology also. So it involves the identification of unknown materials. Unknown materials, as in if you encounter a brownish liquid, if the police recovers some brownish liquid-filled bottles, you cannot always say that it's alcohol. So it has to be identified at a forensic science laboratory to authenticate that yes, that particular liquid is alcohol. Because if a police officer takes the case to the court and the other person says no, it was not alcohol, it was something else. So how do you prove it? So to prove the authenticity for the investigation, the police officers do send the samples to the forensic labs to get them tested. Other than that, the drugs may be recovered from some point, and even at a crime scene, if it is suspected that some person died of poisoning, their viscera is collected by the medical professionals and then sent to the forensic laboratories for examination. It is especially important not just to identify it was just what whether or not a person was poisoned, but also to identify the type of poison so that its availability can be checked and then its source can be checked. Where because many a times certain poisons are only confined to certain type of people. Like if you see death of a medical professional, mostly there are like 99% chances that the death was due to barbiturates, because they are the simplest form of poison which gives you the most peaceful death. So there are certain sources of and they are also not easily available to the layman. So depending on the availability of poison, it can also be deciphered that who was actually responsible. If the person himself took it, if other person gave it, who can be responsible from his surroundings and all. So this says a lot about the crime itself. These are all the examples of the evidence material for chemistry. These are alcohol, the poison, drugs, certain chemicals. So they all come under the category of forensic chemistry. Challenges in this field, I feel, is lack of proper safety gears while dealing with the hazardous chemicals. Especially in India, I think we lack such proper facilities because many hazardous chemicals are being dealt by the forensic scientists and they do not have the proper safety equipment to deal with it. And their safety, their protection also get compromised while dealing with such cases. They're obviously going beyond their limits, but for the cause of their duty. But still, I feel that the challenge is more. And then obviously there is a lot of advancement in this field. The new technologies are coming, but still the access of the technology is quite low. In India, many of the forensic science laboratories, I think only few must be having those actual sophisticated and updated instruments with them. Most of them are relying on the outdated instruments only. So that's a big challenge to provide the access of these technologies to all the needed laboratories and people. Then coming to the opportunities in this field, again, the government and private forensic science laboratories are there. But other than that, there are private food labs also where these the forensic chemists are required.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes?
Ma'am, actually it's still in the 16th slide.
Okay, just a second. I don't know what's wrong with this.
Ma'am, it's better if you opt for the slideshow.
I have opted for the slideshow only. Is it not visible?
It's in the 16th slide, ma'am.
Actually, I've opted for the slideshow only. I don't know why isn't it visible. Just a second.
Oh, yes, ma'am. It came to the 18th slide now.
Okay, is it?
Yes, ma'am. It's visible.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, then coming to the okay, we were talking about the opportunities. So at the private food labs also, the forensic chemistry experts are required as analysts. Basically, it is many a times it is to check the nutritional value of a food, or sometimes it is for other purposes as well, to check the quality of food and all. Because you would have seen a very recent case in Delhi. It came up like the momos, they were filled with it was actually suspected meat. The meat was suspected that whether or not it's the chicken or something which was actually safe or which was actually required by the people. They were suspecting that it was beef or something. So that was also a big question. So such cases are also handled by the forensic chemist. Then when it comes to the private food labs, the laboratory personnel, if you remain confined with the laboratory job, it is up to, the promotions are up to the post of senior analyst or section in charge and all. Although if you turn towards the management side, there are posts such as quality executive or assistant managers available for you. Now coming, did the slide change? Hello, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
So did the slide change?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. So coming to our section, the biological sciences. So forensic biology, as you all must be knowing, it is concerned with the biological evidence material. Bio is life, so any life form or anything related to life forms a part of forensic biology. It can be in the form of biological fluids like blood, semen, or saliva. And it can be in the form of biological material like hair, bones, or some organisms, maybe diatoms, fungi. So these are all the part of biological sciences. Here we have like blood and then semen, saliva, bones. They all form the biological evidence materials. The main problem here in biology with the biological evidence samples is that the rate of degradation is very fast. The blood scattered on the crime scene might not have the same value as it had at the time when the crime was committed. As the time passes, the evidentiary value of the biological material decreases, and there are lesser chances of its identification and analysis, proper analysis, or the required results. And also these materials are highly vulnerable to contamination because mostly the evidence material, the biological evidence which is encountered at a crime scene is very low in amount, very small in amount. So that, and even if that sample is contaminated, it becomes a very big issue for the analyst to provide the accurate result, because sometimes the results are, you do not get the results after just one go. You have to repeat the process over and again to get the desired results, or maybe the just the results, because sometimes the results are also not visible. So at that point, it becomes a really big issue. With the lapse of time, the biological material loses its evidentiary value. So the biological material, that is why it is almost always important for the investigating agencies also to have a forensic expert with them during the collection of biological evidence, because it is something which requires utmost care, and it is something which is readily available in very, very small amount. So it's the collection, packaging, preservation, all are very important. So the challenges here are highly sensitive evidence material. As I said, the evidence material are very prone to contamination. So utmost care has to be taken in their collection. And unfortunately, in India, the proper training is not being provided to the investigating agencies. And mostly the evidence material collected is not in the right state for the analysis. Many a times they would collect the evidence material. While they were collecting, it was maybe at the right stage of for the analysis, but later, by the time it reaches the laboratory, or by the time the analyst starts analyzing it has lost its evidentiary value. So this is a big challenge to train the investigating agencies for the collection of these evidence materials. And then criminals are getting smarter. This is very important because while I was in CFSL, I saw a few cases. In one case, it was a sexual assault case, and the criminal, he actually asked the victim to take a bath and change the clothes before letting her go. So, and there was another case where the criminal kept the victim as a hostage for around 3 days, just with the intention so that he don't get caught, and there is no evidence material to trace him back. So it is like people are getting to know more and more about science, or maybe the information is very readily available. So that is also a very big challenge, that you have to outpass them. Like you have to remain a step ahead of them to prevent the crime, to just bring justice to the victims. So it is very, very big challenge. And then huge backlog, I think it is a challenge for every field of forensic science, because due to the lack of manpower, there is huge backlog being created, and there are hundreds of cases pending, and this pendency keeps on increasing every year because the manpower or the instruments or the consumables, they are not available at in that amount as they are required to solve that many cases. Although the good news is that government has shifted its attention towards this topic, and they are now actually working on this, and I think there is this FACT exam also coming up again. So that is also for the recruitment of manpower and all only. So that's a big step and worth appreciation, but huge backlog is no doubt a very big challenge. And then there is lack of research and development. This is a very, very big issue, because in India, there like a handful of institutions are, I think, only providing PhD in forensic sciences, and that too they are not properly equipped with the instruments for the research. And so what happens is that most of the forensic students, they have to just get themselves enrolled in PhD for some pure science subject, maybe chemistry, biology, or whatever. And then the findings in that field, they have to just relate them to the field of forensics. They are not actually, these findings are actually not based on they were never done from the forensic point of view, but they still are to be just availed here because there are no actual findings here. So it is a very, very crucial topic, and that is one reason that in India, even till date, even after so many advancements and technologies and all, we do not have any indigenous kit for DNA analysis. The kits we are using here are based on foreign population, and they might or might not be useful here. The test they just keep testing it over and again. But still, for a country like India, where there is so much population diversity already there, it becomes very, very difficult to rely on these things. And when you say that DNA is 100% evidence and everyone is relying on that, such things can be like very, very can have a very bad impact on the other cases. It might really not provide you the results which we expect. So research and development is a very, very big area of concern, not just in biology, but I think for the entire forensic subjects, because when I look for things like the PhD in forensic science and all, there are only few institutions providing it. So that's a big challenge. Research and development is to be focused. Then talking about the opportunities in this field, the government forensic science labs, they have their biology division, and also there are crime scene investigation divisions. Not always, although the crime scene investigation teams are different, but many labs now have their separate crime scene investigation teams. I think Delhi FSL is also having their separate crime scene investigation teams, and this trend is actually increasing day by day, which is a good thing, because these people, they are available first of all for the crime scene investigation at any point of time. Other than that, they have a good experience in that field, so they are also able to do things properly. So that's a good thing. And then private forensic labs are also getting involved. Many a times for the blood and DNA analysis also they are getting involved. Then there is scientific and marketing companies. Scientific and marketing companies, I mean, like there are companies like Promega or Qiagen, and there is Thermo Fisher. So what these companies, they actually are the research-based companies. They are developing their own kits, they are developing their own chemicals or consumables. So they need the experts from the particular forensic fields to help them to actually identify the problem these labs are facing, so that the research can be done on with that perspective. Other than that, these companies, because they send their executives, marketing executives, to the forensic labs also. So they need the forensic experts themselves to be the marketing executives, so that they are able to relate to the problems better, they are able to sell the product better. So this is a big career opportunity. Many, Thermo Fisher is a big name in this, and there are many companies associated with this. And there are other labs like genomic labs and all. So they also require the forensic biology experts. They are also hiring these days. Although they are also hiring the pure science personals, but they're hiring the forensic experts as well for the analysis and research. And there are private food labs also. They're also hiring, like for the nutritional value and all. They're also hiring the biological forensic biologist. So I think that's it from my side. If there are any questions from anyone, please ask. Hello, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
So are there any questions from anyone? So if there are no questions, actually I finished it up early so that if anyone had any questions, you will have time for that. But okay, if there are no questions, I think we can wind up now. Meghna?
Yes, ma'am.
So we can wind it up?
Yeah. Participants' feedback link will be sent in the chat box. Kindly open the link and leave your suggestions. It will be maintained as a document and considered as your attendance.
Okay, thank you
Once
everyone.
again,
Okay, thank you everyone. It was great having you as audience. Thank you.
I thank our resource person, Ms. Shikha Tyagi, for making some time from her busy schedule and being here with us to share your thoughts and knowledge. Thank you, ma'am. My heartfelt gratitude to our beloved principal, Dr. Juliet CJ, for presiding over the event and addressing us. Thank you, ma'am. I'm grateful to Dr. Janice Mary, ma'am, Vice Principal of our college, Dr. Sarita D'Souza, Head Graduate Department of Criminology and Forensic Science, Mr. Roshan D'Souza, Welfare Officer, other faculties of our department, members of the management, professors of various universities, alumni, teaching and non-teaching staff of our college, all the participants and my dear friends. I thank the members of the organizing team who took in effort to form this meet, be systematic, and those who have worked behind the scenes. Thanks again for joining us today. We hope to see you next time. Have a nice day. The feedback link will be open for 30 minutes only. Thank you.